Hello and welcome to Lovely English Stories. Thank you for stopping by. This is a B1, B2 intermediate English story all about voting in the UK. Let's get started. Voting in the UK is how people choose who will represent them in making important decisions for the country. It's like picking your favourite team captain for a game, but for the whole country. When you're under 18, you're not old enough to vote yet. But it's good to know how it works. When people vote, they decide who will be their Member of Parliament, MP. MPs are like champions for the areas they represent, called constituencies. Each part of the country has its own MP. But before the big day, there's a lot of buzz. Different political parties, like teams, tell people why they should vote for them. They share their plans and ideas for making the country better. Some parties focus on schools and hospitals, while others talk about the environment or jobs. On election day, if people haven't signed up for postal voting, then they go to a polling station to cast their vote. It's like going to a special place to make a choice, just like picking your favourite ice cream flavour at the shop. They mark a cross next to the candidate they want to win. The candidate with the most votes in each area becomes the MP for that place. It's a bit like winning a race. Whoever crosses the finish line with the most votes wins. But that's not all. The UK also has something called local elections. These are like mini elections for your neighbourhood, where people choose who will represent them in local councils. Councils help make decisions about things like parks, libraries, and rubbish collections. Sometimes there are votes for other important things, like referendums. A referendum is when people vote on a specific question, like whether the country should stay in or leave a group, like the European Union. Voting is a big responsibility because it helps decide how the country is run. Even if you might not be able to vote yet, it's essential to learn about it. Maybe one day you'll have the chance to have your say too. Now, let's go through some of the vocabulary we have just read. Let's start with vote. Vote is a formal expression of choice or opinion in an election or another decision-making process. For example, citizens have the right to vote for their preferred candidate in the upcoming election. Candidate. A candidate is a person who is seeking or nominated for an elected position. For example, Sarah is a candidate for the local council elections. To cast your vote. To cast your vote is to formally choose a candidate by marking a ballot paper. I will cast my vote for the candidate I believe will best represent my community. Council. A council is a group of people elected to make decisions or provide advice on local matters. For example, the council is discussing plans to improve the local park. Parliament. Parliament. This is the highest legislative body in the UK, and it consists of elected representatives. The Prime Minister, addressed Parliament to outline new policies. To represent. To represent is to act or speak on behalf of someone or a group of people. The MP promised to represent the interests of her constituents. Responsibility. Responsibility is a duty or obligation to fulfill a task or a role. For example, it is our responsibility to take care of the environment for future generations. Specific. Specific means clearly defined or identified. For example, can you provide me with more specific details, please? Captain. A captain is a leader or a head of a team or group. Tom was the team captain of the football team. Choice. A choice is an act of selecting or making a decision when you are faced with two or more possibilities. I had to make a choice between going to the cinema or staying at home. Which would you choose? Collection. Collection is a group of things gathered together or assembled. The museum has an impressive collection of ancient artifacts. In the story, we talk about rubbish collections, so it's gathering together all the rubbish to take somewhere away from the streets, usually to a tip. Referendum. Referendum is a general vote by the electorate on a single political question that has been referred to them for a direct decision. The government called for a referendum on whether to leave the European Union. We all know about that. Constituencies. Constituencies are areas represented by a Member of Parliament, so an MP, or other elected officials. The constituency boundaries were redrawn to better reflect the population changes. Decisions or a decision is a choice made after careful consideration of many different options. For example, the committee made the decision to proceed with the new building project. Election. There are a lot of elections happening in the UK at the moment, and there will be a general election this year. An election is a formal decision-making process by which a population chooses an individual to hold public office. The upcoming election will determine the next mayor of the city. Environment. The environment is the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. It's important to protect the environment by reducing our carbon footprint. We talk about carbon footprint in our other news story about climate change. Essential. Essential means absolutely necessary and extremely important. For example, water is essential for life to exist on Earth. Water is essential for us to drink every day. Neighbourhood. A neighbourhood is a district or community within a town or city. Our neighbourhood organises regular events to bring residents together. Political. Political means anything relating to the government, public affairs, or the principles and policies of a governing party. There was a heated political debate in Parliament over education reform. And union. A union is an organisation of workers formed to protect and further their rights and interests. The trade union negotiated better working conditions. We hope you enjoyed this lovely English story and the vocabulary explanations. Thank you for stopping by. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Get productive and check out our language learning productivity packs and stories on Etsy. Use code YouTube10 for 10% off. You can find the link in the description box below. If you also wanted to support lovely English stories in another way, you can become a member here on YouTube. Can you see below where it says join? You can click to join and pay a monthly subscription that will really help us in running the channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify, then head over to our YouTube channel where you can join. See you soon!